Hello, my name is Mallory Weisenbach, and I am giving you my final presentation on exploring personality and alcohol use in college students. So, some previous literature review found for mindfulness specifically, mindfulness is defined as the awareness that emerges through paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmental to the unfolding of experiences moment by moment. So mindfulness is the background of our whole research study. And then beneficiary effects for college students like stress reduction and practitioners' ability to become more aware of experiences in both accepting and judgmental attitudes. So this is saying that mindfulness is helpful for college students, which is why we chose to look at college students. And then ultimately, this research led us to question an individual's awareness of specific experiences surrounding self-control and alcohol use related to mindfulness. So to kind of give an introduction, our research is primarily focused on finding a linkage between alcohol use, mindfulness, and self-control. We chose this because we believe that practice of internal mindfulness techniques will have a strong negative correlation with the frequency of alcohol use in college students. Secondly, we believe that mindfulness is positively correlated with levels of self-control. Therefore, we predict that self-control and mindfulness would have a strong positive correlation with alcohol use and would have a strong negative correlation with other measures. So for our methods, we had 99 graduate and undergraduate students who were between the ages of 18 and 35. We recruited through word of mouth, social media, and we sent out a Ball State mass email regarding our study. And then our measures, we used 3 scales, so the Mindfulness Attention Awareness Scale, the MASS, the PSYS, which is the Brief Self-Control Scale, and the audit, which is the Alcohol Use Disorder Identification Test. And then our procedures, they received informed consent first, and then if they did not consent, then they would be sent to the very end and say thank you. And then we asked some brief demographic questions of age and their university level, and if they were either under the age of 18 or over the age of 35, they were sent to the end and said thank you, so we did not receive their data. And if they were not a undergraduate or graduate level college student, they were also sent to the end. And then they were given the 15-item MASS, the 13-item PSYS, the 10-item audit, and a debrief and a thank you statement. And then later in this presentation, I will explain that we only used 3 items from the audits solely because we were only focusing on the frequency of alcohol use and not all of the other questions that the audit had. So our results found an indication of a significant relationship between the MASS and PSYS, so significant relationship between self-control and mindfulness, and then there was no significant relationship between the audit and MASS, so the alcohol or mindfulness or the self-control and alcohol. You'll see that on table 1. And then an independent sample t-test further indicated that neither high or low levels of MASS scores were related to the audit. So this is our table 1 showing that the audit was not correlated in any way, but the MASS and PSYS were with their p-values. And then table 2, this is the 3 items from the audit that we chose to use. Wow, you cannot see that at all. There we go. So the 3 questions that we used were, how often do you have a drink containing alcohol? How many drinks containing alcohol do you have on a typical day when you are drinking? And how often during the last year have you had a feeling of guilt or remorse after drinking? So these 3 specific questions really related to our study more than the others because we were just looking at the frequency of alcohol use and not so much how much they drink, like on a daily basis kind of thing. And then lastly, our discussion. Our hypothesis was partially supported with there being a strong correlation between the measures of mindfulness and self-control, which we did believe. There was no connection between those measures and alcohol use. Our study has implications in two major ways. Mindfulness may not be effective treatment for alcohol use management, and mindfulness and self-control may not be reliable indicators that others are more or less susceptible to alcohol use. And some common issues that we came up with in our study was our sample size only being 99. Our demographics, we did not collect that many demographics. We only asked if they were in college. We didn't ask the year that they were in college or anything like that. We did not give their specific ages. And just the fact that we only did college students, and that they could have been underrepresented due to the increased likelihood of use and likelihood to lie about alcohol. Correlation survey rather than empirical study. Other scales could have been used. The audit is fairly limited and most questions were not relevant to our study, and more empirical research in this field would be helpful. A study measuring mindfulness, self-control, and alcohol use immediately after use would be a logical next step. And that is it. Thanks for a good semester.